Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Hi, this is Mick Bannister, and thanks for joining me for some plain talking. With me in the Departure Lounge are Ellen Elise Bannister, no relation, and Zach Pearson, talking, amongst other things, about their new film, Metronomes. Ellen is the daughter of Reggie Bannister, star of the Phantasm horror movie franchise, and Zach has just written his first screenplay, Metronomes. Ellen and Zach are collaborating on bringing Metronomes to the big screen next year. Ellen is returning to acting after spending the last few years as a nanny and working in the publishing industry. Zach is a photographer and musician, but keen to move into the world of film. But before we delve into any of that, I began by asking Ellen about her life as a little girl in Hollywood and growing up on film sets.
Oh, it was amazing, really. From the time I was born, I was going to horror film sets and seeing, all this blood and gore, but I was used to it. We had really interesting, frightening things in the house too, props, and Halloween was always a lot of fun.
I mean, how old were you when your father Reggie Bannister was making Phantasm?
Well, actually, I was a bun in the oven, and for the next one, I was a bit older. I think maybe 6. It was wonderful. It was great. It was exciting. Film sets are very exciting, and I guess some kids that I've spoken to are bored by them, but I was always just thrilled to be on them. Right,
so when you were at the second Phantasm, did you get a chance to go down to the set and see your dad working?
Yes. I've always... I try to get in on every set that he does, especially back then.
Right, I mean...
Yeah, see all kinds of wonderful things. I saw a house being blown up, cars being wrecked, It's amazing. The stunt people are incredible. And it's amazing for a little kid to see that kind of stuff.
Right. I mean, it must have been very exciting for you. Did you think then that acting is something that you wanted to do in the future?
Yes, always. As soon as I knew what acting was, I used to watch movies with my dad, daily. It was a very film-oriented household, obviously.
Right, so were you allowed to watch Phantasm then as a little girl?
I think I was, as I recall. I mean, because I was on the sets and I saw that it, wasn't real, and it wasn't scary for me. And also to see your dad on stage, or rather, in the movie, it takes away the fear.
Right. So I'll just bring Zach Pearson in at this point. So, hi, Zach.
Hello.
So, Zach, were you a movie fan or a horror movie fan? Did you ever get to see the Phantasm films?
I didn't actually see Phantasm till years and years later. When I was growing up, I was watching a lot of films that I probably shouldn't have seen, but it definitely gave me an interest in what I would end up getting into, which was writing film. But just a mix, really, when I was younger, horror, science fiction.
So when we're going to talk about your latest writing, which is a screenplay or a film script for Metronomes, we'll talk about that later. But was it, I guess it was watching films like Phantasm that, when you saw them, did you think that's something I want to do? I want to write things like that?
Oh, absolutely. Just sort of you watch films and they inspire you sort of subconsciously or something, and you just end up thinking, I could do that, and then you end up having an idea and that grows into something else. So, yeah, I think definitely horror and science fiction inspired the types of things I'd end up writing. I would just do it in my own way.
Okay, thanks, Zach. We'll come back to Zach a bit later. So just to finish off this section then. So, Ellen, your first acting experience then, what was that like, and what was it?
Wow, gosh, I did community theater when I was very small. And I was so small, I don't even remember what the play was now. But it was wonderful. Being on stage, it's a very obviously different experience from film. It's really nice to be with the audience and see their reaction and feel their reaction.
Right. I mean, did you have any formal acting training as a young girl? Did you do anything like that?
I did. I did through just school drama classes at first, and then I did some college for it as well.
Okay, that's a good point to look at your iPlayer. And Ellen, you've chosen the first song. What is it, and why is this such a special song for you?
My first song choice is Space Oddity by David Bowie. Both of my stepfather and my father are musicians, great musicians, and this one is one that my stepdad used to play at gigs. That was the other thing. I grew up in bars, basically, because both of them were playing gigs all the time. This always makes me cry. It's just so touching and emotional that it's always been one of my favorites.
It's one of mine as well, so let's listen to David Bowie with Space Oddity.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirt you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
Seclo Sound.
Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
Space Oddity was released as a single in 1969, and its title alludes to the film 2001: A Space Odyssey. In 2013, the song gained renewed popularity after it was covered by astronaut Chris Hadfield, who performed the song while aboard the International Space Station. After discussing Ellen and Zach's early years, we went on to discuss Zach's move into photography.
I think most of the things that I got into just happened to just come out of something else. I mean, with the photography and modelling, a friend of mine for many years, Sam Cooper, he did a lot of my shoots. Just how he did it, it was just fascinating to watch somebody that good at what they do. It just sort of inspired me to get behind a camera and see if I could just do the same, considering I want to get into directing. I wanted to know if I had the eye to do it. And so I experimented around with photography for a while, and that did pretty well with the website and the reaction from the website.
I also know you're a musician, is that right? And,
Yes.
Is that in a professional sense? I mean, do you play in clubs, bars, that kind of thing? How do you show off your musical skills?
Pretty much in my bedroom, so nobody's in there and it's just me. So nobody gets to hear it. But the reason by the music interest is just my interest in film scores. I think ever since I can remember just watching films, even when I was a kid, I used to be interested in how the music was used to tell a story as well as the story itself. But I've never been in a band because most of the music I make, I don't think that's tailored for pubs. I think that's more tailored for being in the background of a film. So, yeah.
Right, so I guess, like you say, it's mainly like film scores and things. And your favourite musicians, then, I guess, would they be people in the film score world?
Pretty much, yeah. Most of the music that I own is a film score of some kind, and most of the music I listen to are by composers and not bands. It tends to interest me more to listen to something that is tailored for a film. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned your photographic website, which I've seen, and I must say you have a very distinctive style. How did you develop that? Where did that come from?
I have no idea. I think I like very sort of hard to see images. I like sort of blurs and distorted imagery. I don't like it when something is presented so easily. I like that you have to kind of work to see what you're actually looking at, or the same with music. I don't necessarily like things that are very sort of simplistic. I like something with layers. So with photography, it was just a case of annoying the hell out of everybody by blurring everything and making everything very distorted in some way.
If anybody has seen a Zach Pearson photograph, you don't forget it. And if I saw one down the local photographic shop, I would know it was you, without even looking at a title. It's that distinctive, I think. So photography is obviously a passion of yours. I mean, writing. Is writing the new thing that's coming up for you now, or have you been writing for a long, long time?
I've been writing properly since about 2009, 2010. Obviously, I've not gone to sort of any writing schools or film schools of any kind, so I've just learnt things by listening to directors talk or, listening to film commentaries, just gathering up what I can from actually just listening to people that work in the business. The same as talking to Alan, who's been a vast help with everything.
When did you first realise that you wanted to be a writer?
Well, I've wanted to get into film ever since I was a kid, but obviously I didn't really understand it. It was just this very kind of magical thing, and I didn't understand how you would get into it. But the older I got and the more I looked into it, I sort of realised the background aspects of it, writing and production, and realised that I didn't really want to hire somebody to write my film because I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do. So I just, again, same with photography and film and everything, it's just a case of reading up how to actually write scenes, and I'm still learning.
Ellen, is that something that you've ever thought about, writing, or is acting really it?
Acting has always been it for me. I don't think I'm talented enough to be a writer.
Okay, I mean, just come back to Zach. Do you have a special place where you write, or is it wherever the mood takes you?
Pretty much wherever the mood takes me, and it's usually in an awkward place, like I'm in the middle of a shop or something, and suddenly I'll get an idea and have to write it down on my mobile phone or on a scrap of paper.
Okay, so unlike George Bernard Shaw, who had to go and sit in a shed at the bottom of his garden, you don't need to do anything like that.
No, I don't have any strange rituals.
Okay. Let's have some more music. So this next track was one that, Zach, I believe you have on your iPlayer.
Yes, this is Furious Angels by Rob Dugan. To be blunt, I would love to work with this guy, and I would love at some point in the future to have him somehow scoring a film that I'm involved in, because his work is tremendous and his album Furious Angels is incredible.
Okay, let's have a listen to Rob Dougan and Furious Angels.